Hi everybody, I'm Catherine from Make the Change and it's Wednesday evening and it's Let's Talk. And tonight I want to talk about modern day stress. Now I've wanted to actually talk about this for quite some time, but other things kept coming up instead. But you know, in the last few days, if you've been listening to the radio quite a lot, there was a really interesting discussion on Radio 1 about eco-stress, and then on Radio 4 this morning, I think it might have been on Women's Hour, they were talking about the textile industry, the fashion industry. So I thought, you know, this is a really good opportunity to discuss this sort of thing because, you know, eco-stress, what they were talking about on Radio 1, is becoming quite a serious issue for a lot of people, especially younger people. And I must admit that with my children, they are a lot more aware of the environment than perhaps we have, you know, older generations have ever been. And, you know, it's, and even with myself, you know, it does create or can create quite a bit of anxiety and stress. We are, you know, sort of talked about as being very wasteful, a very wasteful population, and you know, we are damaging the environment. You've only got to see the you know, the pictures in the media about all the plastics you know, that are washing up on the shores the other side of the world, and you know, how wasteful the fashion industry is around you know, resources such as water, for example, but also about polluting the environment with the chemicals that they use. And also, you know, what they were talking about today with the textile industry was about how you know, how we are not managing, you know, or rather not thinking about where, or you know, the air miles that a lot of the clothes that we buy are having. You know, for a t-shirt that's costing £2, you know, there's a lot of air miles involved in transporting those t-shirts from one place to the next. And how can they actually make something like that for £2? Now, when I had this discussion with somebody quite a few years ago, you know, they pointed, you know, the person I was chatting with actually pointed out, but that's the person or the people who are on the factory line making these cheap t-shirts are actually getting some kind of a salary, and would they get a salary or any kind of money at all if they weren't doing that? And that is a very valid point, isn't it? And I don't know the answer to that one. You know, I am only discussing this as something of interest, of, you know, of my interest, and hopefully of interest to you as well. But it's just thinking about, isn't it, and being more aware of what we are doing as human beings, what we are spending our money on, how we are spending it, how we are then, you know, recycling the materials or the waste materials that we don't need, whether that is the packaging or the clothes that we don't want to wear anymore or are out of fashion. And you know, I don't know what your take on you know, second-hand clothes are, but you know, I am somebody who does go to charity shops and buy second-hand things, and I am okay with that, and I can understand why a lot of people aren't. I mean, my friend today, she had been out and bought a lovely leather buffet for her daughter who's moving into a new house from a charity shop for a tenner, and she's going to, instead of recovering it because there's nothing wrong with it, she's going to stain it and make it the right colour for her. So that is recycling in a great way, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the results of that. So yes, we can recycle our plastics, our cardboard, our paper, and my council aren't very good at recycling the plastics, which does really bother me. So, I take it all up to my mum, who is in a different council, and I put it into their recycling. Now, someone else when I told somebody else this, their comment was, well, it's probably not going to be recycled properly anyway. It's just going to be binned somewhere, which it might be, but if I don't try and recycle it properly, through the channels that are put there for us, I'll never know. At least I've tried. At least I've tried to do it properly. So it's all about how we do it, and it's about following the instructions, isn't it? Looking at the labels, making sure things are recyclable, about washing things out. My uncle today, said, oh, I was emptying the bins out at my mum's, and because it's bin day tomorrow, and I was saying, well, are those going to go in the recycling? But that was things that had got weed killer in. So no, it was going to go in the ordinary bin. I perhaps, and think if I just picked it up, I might not have thought about it, and I might have put it right in the recycling. And then, of course, that recycling might be useless. So yes, we need to recycle, but it's also about washing our items as well. So it is productive, good, environmentally friendly recycling is the right way to go. Some people are eating less meat. That is a way forwards. And, some people are going as far as being vegan. And so that is a huge lifestyle change, which a lot of people would really, really struggle with. And I admit I would struggle with being vegan. And so we don't have to go the whole hog. We can do little bits at a time. Okay, so should we, for example, instead of going out and, the summer's coming up, a lot of people will go out and buy lots of great clothes to take on the holidays. Is that the way to go, or should we be making do, or should we be buying less, or should we be going to the charity shops, or should we be buying more expensive clothes that will last a little bit longer? Again, this is all personal preference. It's only going to benefit, no, sorry, that isn't the right word. It is, it's personal to you with how far that you want to go, and it's about how we can perhaps make little changes to make greater benefits. And the reason why all of this is becoming a modern day stress is because people are starting to think about what sort of a planet is Earth going to be like for their children, for their grandchildren, for their great-grandchildren. And even though as a single person you will struggle to make a huge vast difference, if we all do a little bit, it will help, won't it? But also it's about getting into your own mindset. What difference do you want to see happening in the world to make Earth a better place for future generations? What can you afford to do? What are you capable of doing? Is it about buying an electric car? Is it about selling your car altogether? Because especially if you live in city centres, do you need a car any longer? And when I've talked to different people, these are all the things that people are saying to me. I live in the city centre, I don't need a car any longer. One, it's a struggle to park it. I'm paying a lot of money for something I don't use that much. And when I do want to go anywhere further distance, I can either hire a car, or I can get on the train or fly, or get the bus. So it's just about thinking around the subject area, isn't it? But also it's trying not to get yourself too wound up. And I know that in the past, that when I first started my life coaching training, I got myself very wound up about thinking about different things and my mindset and the improvements that I can make, and how on myself, and how I can support other people, and how those other people can support other people, and so on and so forth. And we as individuals, we can't change big things, can we? There's so much conversation, I hate to say it, about Brexit, and it is creating a lot of stress and strain for a great many people. And I think this is coming because people are feeling that they have got no control over what is going to happen. Yes, we have had the referendum, didn't we? And it was meant to be the voice of the people, but is it still the voice of the people now? And this is, I think, what is making a lot of people so anxious and so stressed. So, what I'm saying is, it's about stepping back a little bit, taking the pressure off yourself a little bit, because in the grand scheme of things, what are you achieving by the tension, the anxiety and stress that you are putting on yourself when you are thinking about these things? So, it's about getting the control back of your mindset, getting the control back of your feelings and your actions. Yeah. So what can you change? Okay, so finding little things that you can do around the house, around your community. There's a lady who I see who goes out and she collects all the rubbish in a local park area, and she's got a little system set up with the council. They deliver her bags, they collect the rubbish, which is fantastic. Our council have got a little app that you can have on your phone, and I use that quite a lot to take a photograph of something where somebody's fly tipped, or if there's a tree down, or any just general stuff like that, and I can take a picture of it and I can report it to the council, and somebody comes along and collects it. So we all have different ways around doing these little things. But to help you get that mindset, you need to be thinking clearly. And so this is where, I keep going back to, my top 10 tips to keeping yourself sane. It's about going out and getting your fresh air so that you can breathe effectively, so that your body is working at the best of its ability. It's about having your good sleep pattern, putting those stresses and strains to one side so that you can have a calmer headspace, so that you can rest, so that you can relax, so that you can have a good sleep, so that you can feel refreshed when you wake up in the morning and have more energy, better decision making skills, so that you can get on with your day more effectively. It's about eating the best that you can, with the decisions that you have made around your diet and around your health and well-being. It's about making sure that you get your exercise so that you can stay as fit as possible. Because that is another modern day stress, isn't it? You know, that the NHS is being overworked, there isn't enough funds going in, the population is getting bigger, you know, generally the population is getting more and more unhealthy and putting huge stresses and strains, you know, on the NHS. But, you know, what can we do for ourselves? Why should we have to always rely on the NHS when there are things that we can do for ourselves? You know, this is, you know, complementary therapy. This is preventative medicine. Instead of, yeah, I'm going to drink what I like, eat what I like, smoke what I like, have no be as sedentary as I want to be because it's okay, we've got the NHS. And that's okay, but if the time comes when you need them in an emergency, are you going to be able to have that care as quickly as you want to? And so, you know, this is why it's so important to think about us as individuals, and to be able to look after yourselves the best that you can, look after your families the best that you can, so that you're not so reliant on other services that are being so stretched that when you need them you might not be able to have the best care that you hoped you would have. So yeah, helping reduce your modern day stresses is about not overstressing on things that are so big that you can't manage as an individual. Okay, it's about doing what you can do as an individual to be able to do something to go towards the bigger picture. Yeah, but it's also about being realistic. It's also about being calm. It's also about, you know, not allowing yourself to get over exasperated, you know, about issues that are important to you. Yes, they might be important to you, but it's about being realistic at the same time, and you know, doing what you could do. Yes, if you're somebody who's got great knowledge and you've got great contacts with making a bigger difference, that is absolutely fabulous. And, you know, some people can do that, but the majority of us can't. And so it's just about doing what we can do in the time constraints that we've got, with the finances that we've got, you know, to help other people. And so, you know, as parents or aunties and uncles or as caregivers, this is, you know, where we can pass things down the line about training the younger generations, you know, as they are growing up, to recycle, to learn about recycling, so that when they get to, you know, 6, 7, 8 years old, then it's already becoming a sort of normal habit, a good habit about managing, you know, packaging or managing our relationship with money, so that we are being a little bit more sensible about it and spending it more wisely, and just thinking about the longer term issues around what we are doing. So that is as far as I'm going to go tonight. Okay, yes, all these issues are really, really important, but it is about taking a breather, you know, being able to step away from it sometimes so that you can have a break from it, and so that you can use your energy levels for other things as well as environmental issues. So I'm going to love you and leave you now. To get my top 10 tips to keeping yourself sane, then please go onto my website www.kathloyd.co.uk and register today, because if you start today, you're going to start feeling the benefits tomorrow. And after 10 days, because it's a 10-day many e-course, then just think how much better you will be feeling after 10 days with the top 10 tips to keeping yourself sane. And this 10-day mini e-course, you could class it as preventative medicine. So you're starting to look after yourself now, get into new habits, so that you can live a more effective, fruitful life for many more years to come. So I'm going to love you and leave you now. Have a great evening, have a great week, and I'll speak to you next Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Bye bye now.